Well, it looks like we are up and running and ready to go for the 2025 season. Got Josh Booth here, got Trey Dawson here. Trey, what's up, buddy? How are you, man?
What's up, man? Getting out of a ketosis state. Been trying to do this diet Gary Brecka challenge. Been doing the cold water showers every morning, and I'm actually starting to feel it. Plus, I think jumping into Lake of the Ozarks 5 times this past weekend. We did a recovery convention down there. Kind of shocked my system. So no pain, no gain, I guess. I'm good.
Mr. Booth?
I've been kind of trying that same diet myself, actually. Mainly proteins. I've eliminated all sugars, any processed foods. I haven't eliminated carbs. I'm not in ketosis. I got to have a tater or a slice of bread every once in a while. But other than that, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good. And I think a lot of people are probably going on this new whole food healthy kick thing. So other than that, yeah, doing good. Glad to be here. Ready to kick off a new season with MoYak.
Yeah, 10th year. It's crazy. I can't, it's hard to believe. Josh, you guys and the OGs have been doing this for 10 years, probably longer, but for MoYak, it's been 10 years. It's just wild to think about where this sport, this event, this fishing, this kayaks, these boats, whatever you want to call them, have gone. So it's pretty cool, but very excited for the 10th year, man. I bet you're stoked.
I am. It's amazing how far we've come, from a small group of guys that went up north and fished in a kayak tournament for the first time and brought it back to Missouri. Eric Hansen, he created MoYak on the basis of what they saw when they traveled. And it's just blown up. We're fortunate up here in the Ozarks and in Southwest Missouri. Well, pretty much all of Southern Missouri. We got so many great fisheries and rivers and lakes and strip pits and ponds. And I mean, a lot of us have just grown up fishing, being on the water is a part of life. And so it just mixed really well with the sport of kayak fishing. So I think that's why it's really exploded in this area and has been really successful. And it's been fun to be a part of that.
Do you remember the first year, Josh? You remember how many people you had just say like on your roster for MoYak the first year?
The MoYak started in 2015, and I wasn't a part of that. I found out about it in 2015. I started seeing some stuff online, and I was freaking out. Like, what? There's actually kayak tournaments where I can actually go fish for bass out of my kayak? This is amazing, because I love floating rivers and streams and fishing small water and stuff like that. So I was a little intimidated by it. I had a 10-foot sit-in Old Town kayak, and no fish finders, no nothing, just all basic. And so I didn't start until 2016. I kind of followed them a little bit and prepared, and I started in 2016 on Table Rock. And in my first tournament in my little bitty 10-foot kayak, I went out there and I caught like a 21 something and one big bass. And so I myself have been completely addicted to the sport ever since. So kayaks have evolved so much. Nobody had motors back then. It just started to happen. A few people started to get one here and there. They were all completely custom made. Now, there's companies that are specifically making motors for kayaks and all this kayak gear. So everything has really progressed really quick in these last 10 years. A lot's changed. Back in the beginning, we didn't even have Tourney X. We had to use disposable cameras and SD cards that we'd have to stand in line. Once we get back to the weigh-in, we would have to get and then hand our phone or chip to the tournament director, and he'd look over all of our pictures and write the scores down on a piece of paper. And that took a long time. That kind of sucked. So
I bet.
Just having Tourney X alone really changed the sport. When Tourney X came onto the scene, it exploded all across the country. It gave everybody the tools that they needed to really grow the sport. So shout out to Dwayne Wally and Tourney X for making that happen.
So I think Marty
Kinda
Hughes said
got
he
off
used to
track
have
there a
to
little
draw a picture of the fish, and then so.
That's crazy. Marty's
Yeah,
one
Marty's
of
been
the
around since
OGs
the beginning.
for sure.
Mhm.
Well, let's jump into this, housekeeping stuff, whatnot. We've got we've got some great sponsors this year, returning new ones. Excited that as far as Eco Fishing Shop and be a part of that team. Excited to be one of the title sponsor for MoYak. It's really exciting. It's in our backyard. We've talked about it, and we finally got it lined up and taken care of, and that's exciting for us. Returning sponsors: Flambeau, Council Bluff Crankbaits, 4x4 Brewing Company, Crocker Gator, Litton, Keats Real Estate, all those returning sponsors. That's just some of them. There's plenty more out there, and we'll definitely give a shout out to all those as we keep going through the year. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited about the first year, the event of the year. Granted, it's not for everybody, but the Taney 20, that should be a really good event.
It's always a fun one. It's when everybody kind of gets together for the first time of the year. Of course, it's for the top 20 anglers from last year to compete with basically no entry fee, thanks to Crocker Gator and Eco Fishing Shop. And then also, afterwards, Rainbow Haven Resort is a really nice, gives us a little area out there where we can barbecue and kind of hang out, weather permitting. And anyone is welcome to come to this event if they want to see how the awards work, or just meet and greet some people, or look at some kayak rigs. I mean, I've heard people say that that's really helpful, just coming to some of these events and just looking to see what other anglers are using and how their kayaks are set up. So if you're looking to get into the sport, or if you're new for MoYak this year, because we do got a lot of new members this year, come on out to the Taney 20 Awards and hang out with us, and you'll be more than welcome.
And the launch is going to be a little bit different than it was last year, right? This year, or was that the same last year?
No, we always do a shotgun launch there. This year, we're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to launch in reverse order of AOI. So whoever finished in 20th is going to go first, and then 19th and so far all the way down to the AOI, who will go last, which is Chad Davison. We're going to do it real quick. It's not going to be like a big delay in between. We're going to get them running and rolling, and Jonathan's got some plans for live streaming this if we can, and we'll try to give the anglers a little bit of promotion and credit, and show the people out there what's going on and who are the best anglers in Missouri right now fishing out of a kayak. They deserve that credit.
Yeah, I know. I talked to you about that, Josh, and I'll take complete blame for that. And I know Chad's not a big fan of it and whatnot, but I thought it'd be cool to stream the launch in the morning. I'm in it too, so Chad, you won't be last. You'll be second to last, but I'll launch after everybody. But that seems like it's worked for Tommy in the past, so I'm okay with it. So I'll be late, so I'm not worried about it. But like I said, I do want to stream it, see if I can get some content on it. Maybe even, I don't know, it'd be kind of cool to fly a drone and get some of that footage doing that as well. So should be a good time. Like Josh said, come one, come all, guys, come for the check-in. All that stuff is located on Tourney X as far as the check-in times and lines out and all that stuff, so you can get on there. Check that out, and we'll look at Tourney X here in a second.
Yeah,
as far as
I need to
club page.
throw in, before I forget, I wanted to add that this year, for the anglers that are competing in the Taney 20, that the lake is off limits for that week before. There is no pre-fishing for this one. If you've never been there for some reason, or you need to scout, you can all the way up until Sunday, the before the tournament. I don't remember what that date is exactly. What is that? That's
it'd be the 23rd.
February. Yeah, February 24th through the 28th. It's off limits. So that week.
So Sunday the 23rd would be the last day to be able to go out there and go fishing. So, or pre-fishing anyways.
That's right.
See, that's why it's so important to listen, because somebody like me and you, like 2 weeks ago, I took off work like on a Friday because I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna. And if we would not have like confirmed this, like hard confirmed it, like I would have probably got disqualified because I would have been out there pre-fishing on Friday. So it's like little bitty things like that. Especially for the people that are new here, is just listening to them small details. And if you don't know, ask questions. I thought that just asking Josh questions that I was going to bother him, and Lord knows that I'm asking him questions all the time, the dumbest questions. Just remember, there is no such thing as a dumb question, because that one dumb question is going to keep you from getting DQ'd. So just ask questions. So.
Yes, of course. Anybody that ever has questions, I'm always available to answer them. I want everybody to be, have the tools they need to succeed, not to fail. So, yep. So that's about it for the Tiny 20. So, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. I was gonna say the same thing, but let's jump into the actual trail series, the Elite Series, is what we're calling it. I'm excited about this year. We've got some new places, we've got some old classics, we got some different time of year stuff. And I'm actually, let me do this. Let me see if I can share my screen real quick. And I'm gonna start off in Tourney X. So those of you guys that are looking for information as far as the tournaments and whatnot, you can get onto Tourney X. So here's Tourney X's main page. I'll go back so you can kind of see. If you click on the club tabs, that'll pop down. That'll show you all the club tabs there. Click Missouri MoYak Series. Once you go into there, it'll actually take you to the Elite Series. And then from there,
every series will be right there where you can see it. And this is the website as well. The app is going to look a little different. I recommend using the website when it comes to looking for tournament details and signing up for tournaments. And then when you're in the event, use the app to submit your fish to the tournament would be my suggestion. You'll get a lot more information, and it's a lot simpler. It is for me to use the website. Like Jonathan is showing right here, that box right there, you can click on that, and now you've got access to every single event that MoYak has. The Elite Series, the Team Series, Onlines, the Rivers, all that stuff's right there. Click on that, and it goes right into the tournament dates, and then you'll see all the tournament dates there. And then once you click on one of them, then that's going to give you the information about the tournament. And I get asked this question a lot because see, can you scroll down? See what Jonathan's showing right there? This is all your tournament information and details. It's on every event on the Tourney X website. And so a lot of people ask me, they can't find this information. So this is how you can find that information. Sometimes the website is not up to date. Troy's a busy guy. He does his best to help us out, but it's not always current. What's on Tourney X is always going to be the current and accurate information for everyone to go by. So, and then that's how you can find it. So,
yeah, there's a lot of good information there. A lot of stuff that, easy, like rather than just reaching out to Josh, get on there first, look at, read it out, figure out there, and that'll answer a lot of your questions. If there is stuff that you're not for sure about, reach out to Josh at that point. But yeah, for sure, that's a great place for information, boundaries, different stuff like that. But yeah, so Lake of the Ozarks right here.
Yeah, you'll find the rules.
Yep. So on the right-hand side here,
you'll find rules.
Yep. You can log in and register. So the other thing about Tourney X too, they have two different like login kind of deals. You can buy the premium, which I think is like $50 a year. The cool thing about the premium is it keeps track of all your tournaments, all your profile. You can do all kinds of stuff there and keep track of like standings and whatnot. But there is also a free one. And of course, it's not going to keep track of that, but there's no cost on that side. So you can do either one, depending on how serious or how not serious you want to do it. To me, either way is great. Depends on what your goals are. But yeah, going back to that.
Yeah, Tourney X tabs. I just want to add real quick that Tourney X membership is not required, to compete in these tournaments. It's just like an extra cool little option that you can get if you want, but you don't have to have it. So I get asked that a lot too about Tourney X. And also, while we're talking about the whole Tourney X thing, I want to jump in about the app just a little bit. Make sure if you go into your Tourney X app, there is you click on those little dots on the side to go into your menu, and there's an image location checker there. If you click on that, this is how you can test to make sure your phone settings are set up properly for Tourney X, because that's really important. Your Tourney X has to have access to your GPS locations for all your pictures that you take. And if that's not working right, you could get your photos disqualified in a tournament. So make sure that that's working correctly. You go to the image location checker, and then you can actually submit any picture you've got on your phone. You can take a picture, of yourself right then and there, and then submit it to the image checker, and it'll show you the GPS stamp of exactly where you're at. And if it shows, right where you're at when you took that picture, then you know that you're working properly. So make sure you check that. I highly recommend everyone goes to the app and make sure that their settings are working properly before they get into a tournament.
I got a couple comments in here. Chad did say let's look at this real quick. He did say it is off limits for the 23rd. So it'll actually be the 22nd.
Sunday
is the last day. Yep. Is
so
what you got on
Saturday.
there. But if you want to make it
the last day you can fish.
If you want to change that, Josh, we can change that real quick. I don't mind that. I have Sunday off, so I'll go Sunday, but whatever you think, whatever. But yeah, Chad said it's on there.
Whatever's on Tourney X, like I said, what's on Tourney X is the law. So there it is. Saturday's the last day you can fish.
Good catch, Chad. But guys, here is your tournament series, and what we're gonna do is the goal is like every week, every Wednesday before the event, we'll do a preview. So here in a couple of weeks, we'll talk about Lake of the Ozarks, about Eco Fishing Shop check-in, different stuff like that. But yeah, here's the schedule on Tourney X. The other cool thing is it is on our actual website as well. So here's the actual main website for MoYakFishingSeries.com. You can get on there. Right there's a schedule that we've got on there. It also has a full event schedule here for online, team series, just about anything's on there. So as far as like the elite series and all that, there's no membership you have to have for that. Of course, if you do the elite series, you are going to have, if you're not a member, you are going to pay a higher price on that, but you can buy the membership on the website, to get that rate discounted. So if you're looking at fishing 2 or 3 events, it's definitely worth it to do the membership versus paying the additional, $15 or $20 or whatever it is.
Yeah, and make sure you get the new waiver filled out too for our insurance company. We need that signed before you can compete as well. And it just takes a few seconds to fill it out. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. So if you're on Tourney X's website on a laptop or desktop or whatever, if you scan that QR code, you can scan that. That'll take you directly to the waiver. You can get that filled out, and that way you're all good. Of course, during the Elite Series, we'll have Angler of the Year races. We'll have Rookie of the Year races. We'll have Team AOY. Real quick, Trey, give a shout out to some of those rookies that we've got for this year.
Yes, man, that's my favorite part. I'm here to anybody out there. This is their first year fishing with MoYak. Last year was my first year, and something that was really fun for me was that ROI race. I was in it with Noah, and there's a couple other people. But this year, man, we got a ton of them. I'm going to start out with some names. If you guys are here, just big shout outs, and just know that Josh has got some really cool stuff, really cool awards planned for you guys for Rookie of the Year. But we'll start out John Wolf, Chris Wilson. He's an old name, but new to MoYak. Michael Buford, Doug Wright, Dalton Starr, Richard Laham, Scott Criswell, Ryan Sommer, James McGee, Joseph Klein, Timothy Bickard, Ryan Young, Cameron Gonzalez, Mark Van Meter, and Dane Lewis. There's some names we've heard before. There's some that we've never heard of. But if you guys haven't signed up yet and you're going to sign up, just reach out to Josh and make sure to tell him this is your first year so we can get that signed up and you can get that R. And you guys can go on there also, and you're going to notice everybody with an R by their name are going to be the rookies this year. But, man, if you guys got any questions, just feel free to reach out to me. And if I can't figure it out, which I probably won't be able to, but we'll hit up Josh together. So.
Yeah, and if I've missed any rookies out there, if this is your first season as a MoYak member competing in a live tournament, then reach out to me so we can get that corrected and get that updated on the website. Because I may have missed a few people.
Yep. So I'm
excited about the rookies. We got a bunch of rookies this year, a bunch of new guys. So hopefully our numbers will keep on growing as well, and we'll have a really good season.
Yep. So all those races will go on throughout the year. Again, that'll all be on MoYak's page. Shout out to Troy for keeping up with that stuff and keeping track of the points and everything and keeping it updated. So online as well, there's a AOY for that, River Series, all that'll be on there. Again, if you're wanting to chase any of those, you do have to be a member. So that's, part of that membership as well. And then, we've got the Elite Series going on. Our championship at the end of the year will be October 4th and 5th. That'll actually be on Palmy. And that is listed in there now. That is an invite only for the top 50 anglers, but it's really cool because super low payout, super low pay-in, but a pretty good payout throughout the, after the year.
Yeah, that one's going to be a fun one this year. We started it last year, and I've been able to grow it, and it's going to be even bigger with better payout this year than it was last year. So yeah, that's going to be another great benefit. Yeah, it'll be hosted by Hickory Ridge there. We've got some really great venue sponsors this year for nearly every event, and we'll go through those, as we progress with the podcast, and are really lucky this year. And this 10th year for MoYak is going to be pretty awesome. It really is.
What's cool about that Hickory Ridge and just people that are out there that may have family members that own a resort or somewhere, near a lake that we fish, for people that don't know, and you don't mind me sharing this, Lance Burris, with Hickory Ridge, there's ties there that make these things possible. And that's a great campground. I always stay there, and that's going to be cool because they have a ton of area. And that lady is amazing. So.
Yeah, and one of the best things to me about that location is they've got Starlink internet service for us. So we've got exceptional Wi-Fi when we get there, which Pomme de Terre has horrible cell service all over the lake. So having a good location where we'll be able to access the internet, and that's going to be huge. I love that myself.
That is pretty much everything for the Elite Series, Team Series, and all that. Team Series and Elite Series run together, and then slowly after that, we will have, or during the year, we'll have a River Series as well. The River Series is definitely one of those kind of throwback kind of deals. It's really cool because if you are, a lot of us started on the river, fishing the river, and if you like just fishing the river, then this is definitely your cup of tea. But there at the club's tabs on for MoYak, you've got the River Trail Series. That'll bring up all the events. This year it's changed a little bit, hasn't it, Josh?
Yeah, we're starting a new format this year. There's going to be an AOI race for the River Series. Best 3 out of 4, and then the championship for points, sponsored by Keats Real Estate. $500 to the overall winner for the Angler of the Year. But yeah, we've got a new format this year where anglers are going to be able to choose whatever river they want to fish on for each event, but you can only fish on that river one time for the season. So once you fish that river, you're done with it for the rest of the year. So you've got to fish in different rivers. If a river has a tributary, and you want to fish that tributary, as long as that tributary has its own access point where you can get on, Creek A before it flows into Creek B, it'll be separate. So you can fish that tributary. If that tributary does not have its own access and you have to go, from Creek B on the main river and then go up the tributary to be able to fish it, that's all one river. So hopefully that makes sense on that, about that part of things, because that's been the biggest question I've been asked about, is the tributaries now that count. So if tributary has its own access and its own name and you can fish it by launching on it, then it is its own separate river. Like the Gasconade has several rivers that flow into it. And I can't think of any off the top of my head, but hopefully that makes sense to guys. So yeah, you can fish any river you want, but you can only fish it one time. So you got to, strategy is going to come into play. You're going to have to pick and choose what river you're going to be on at what time of the year. Spring water levels could be a little higher, summertime a little lower. So if you got a honey hole, you might want to save that for a certain time of the year. So a lot of strategy comes into play. And it also keeps guys from having to travel so far. They may be able to, guys that live on the eastern side of the state could probably find, those 4 different rivers without driving more than a couple hours. And, same way with the dudes in the central. So just trying to make it a little easier for guys to get on water, but still make it a fun series that has a competitive standard to it. And we'll see if it works. Hopefully, I've had some pretty positive feedback on it. Guys are pretty excited about this.
Yeah, I've been talking to Jake Hepner and Tyler Coakley. They fish on that eastern side a lot, and I've been taking notes down. So if you guys are looking for some spots, I'm giving them out to the highest bidder. So, but yeah, no, it'll be really interesting to see where guys go, where they end up, where they go first, and kind of strategy there. It'll bring a new kind of thought process there. So that'll be cool.
We need to talk Josh Keats into giving away a house for like biggest river bass. He like just gives a house away.
There you go. That's a good idea. Josh, you listening? We got a sponsorship.
Josh, we need that. We need you to make that happen, buddy.
That is funny. That is hilarious. Watch him sign us do it. Be like, yeah, let's do it. It's some little shack.
Yeah, it's like one of his little open houses where he's going to show us it.
Well, he may be able to make it happen. I mean, he's the man in that area, so who knows?
Guys, if you are watching, pop on there, put a comment in there. Talk to us tell us what event you're looking forward to the most, whether it's the River Series, what lake on the Elite Series. Maybe you're just looking forward to the online events and fishing your honey hole, but curious to see what people think on that. But yeah, I mean, on top of that, we still have Yak Pot, the midweeks going on. We've got the onlines. Guys, there's really like something for everyone. So like if you're looking just to just to fish 1 month, you got the onlines, we got the Yak Pot stuff. So there's plenty of options there. Yak Pot is a little bit different, definitely more tailored towards summertime fishing, where you can get out there in the evening. Josh did change the times a little bit. That way if people were getting off work, they had time to get on the water in time to start that. I think one of those names that did really well last year was Mason. I think, who was it? Was it Corey Forsyth that he ended up winning the Yak Pot AOI, I believe, if that's right. But a lot of guys like to jump in that midweek, just get in there, have some fun, do some night fishing. It's definitely, more summertime than it is anything else. But, another good option to fish if you can't fish Saturdays at the live events or the onlines or anything like that.
Yeah, those are all just for fun and open to anybody too. Just laid back, no in-person meetup or anything like that. You can go out and just fish for a couple hours in the evening and head back home. I believe it's still best 4 fish format, so you only need 4 fish. And yeah, it's a good time to get on the water in the summertime. Might not be as much boat traffic and a little bit cooler temps. So it's a little mini night tournament.
Now, does that have its own? So if I was to fish only them, let's just say I only fish them, do I still have a chance in qualifying for, like, let's say the All-American Classic through just fishing them?
No, the Yak Pots have no points. They're just for fun. There's no tracking of anything. That's just a Yak Pot tournament where you can win a little bit of money fishing for a few hours after you get off work on a Wednesday evening. So just purely for fun, no membership required, no extra fees for non-members and stuff like that. So it's just straight across, just a fun, relaxing way to go gamble on yourself.
And do you have to be a member to do that? The Yak Pots, you can enter that one too.
Yep, you don't need to be a member to enter the Yak Pots. It's open to anybody.
So 2 other things, and I don't know, I don't remember, you may know this, Josh, but we've got the 2024-5 Missouri Big Bass Bounty presented by Council Bluffs Crankbaits. Is it too late to sign up for that, Josh?
Yeah, that one is closed. That ended on February 1st, and that is for any public water in the state. So I think we got more people
45.
signed up this year than we've ever had. That's pretty good turnout. So, but there is another one going on that is just for a big bass tournament, just for the lakes that we fish for during tournaments. That's that was in the same place there.
Was it?
Back in the onlines. Yeah, online challenge. The March 15th, the MoYak Eco Fishing Ultimate Bass. Yeah, there we go. That one you can sign up for at any time. The Mega Bass. You can sign up for that at any time you want, as long as it's before the tournament starts. So this is for just tournaments only. So part of the process of this was some feedback I got from anglers who felt like, they don't want, they're not the pond warriors. They don't have time to scour the state to find monster bass holes. But anyway, so that cracked me up. So this kind of levels the playing field for guys that may not be able to travel or fish constantly, because the online, the the big bass tournament does require a lot of time on the water. So this one simplifies it. It's just for tournaments only. It's going to track who the biggest bass for each tournament is throughout the year. So that one, like I said, so I think it says there in the rules, you just got to sign up the night before the tournament starts. You can sign up at any point in time during the season you want. So there's really no registration deadline on that one. Same concept, a little different, no registration deadline.
Let me play, I guess, devil's advocate, but like, how are you, like, if guys sign up for the, the Lake of the Ozarks event the night before, are you doing specific identifiers for that, or how are you going to do that? Kind of like, are we going to have
there'll be an identifier for, it'll, instead of having one identifier for the whole season, there'll be an individual identifier for each tournament.
Cool. So guys, think about that before you
LOZ event. Yes.
Get your live event one, get your, one for this as well. If you're signed up, it looks like we've got 7 guys signed up. So plenty of room there. And then what is the pot? What does first place get on this?
First place is going to take the whole pot. However many people we get signed up, they're going to take it all. Minus the PayPal fees, Tourney X fees, and all that stuff. And then second through 5th place are going to be guaranteed a $100 bill. So we're going to do 5 spots on that one.
That's cool.
Go ahead, Trey.
No, I was just saying that's cool.
Who would have won this last year? I'm kind of curious.
That's a good question.
I think it would have been me. I think it would have been me at Table Rock with that 22-incher. I had that.
I think Jonathan knew the answer to that before he asked the question. It was that
baited question. He already needs to set up.
Little troll. Little trolling. I'm not gonna lie.
Good play, JD.
Little troll. But no, guys, plenty to sign up for, plenty to fish. Like, if you are not sure about it, don't know where to start, ask questions, fish what fits you, what fits your schedule. Have fun with it, though. Training 20 would be a great place to start, just to come hang out, talk to people. The onlines get kind of competitive, but they're also nice because you can fish whenever you want. The midweek yak pots are a little bit more laid back. So you got plenty of options as far as, where you want to fish, how you want to fish, and when you want to fish. So ask questions. If you're not sure, ask questions, reach out, get on the, Facebook page, get on all that stuff. But just don't be timid. Get on in there. Oh man. And then if you wait all year long, you can fish the Winter Series, and we have a new Winter Series AOY.
Dun dun dun.
Josh, go ahead.
Micah got dethroned. He's won back-to-backs, but this year he didn't make it. Chad Davison, the Dream Crusher, he won the Winter Series AOI, and so that did open up the door for several more anglers to be able to qualify for the All-American Classic too. So it was actually a decent turnout for the Winter Series this year. I was kind of surprised that many people were willing to get out there and freeze their butts off and try and catch some fish.
And the man himself just said, "What Jake Pruitt?" Well, I heard somebody on another forum call him the Silent Hammer, where he just pretty much shows up and takes people's money. So I think that was what he did at Danny, I think.
Yeah, MoYak's got quite a few guys like that.
Yep, and congrats to Jake too. He won that last event on Taneycomo. Had a good event there and showed up and fished. So congrats to him on that win. All right. Well, let's get into. There's one more, and Josh, it's the SOY. I'm gonna let you announce that as well.
Yeah, this year's Sportsman of the Year. MoYak selects a Sportsman of the Year winner each year. An angler who's always there to help out everybody else. MoYak is a great group of people that are always willing to help. It's not like a lot of the boat tournament scenes or even some of the other kayak tournament scenes where guys are all tight-lipped, competitive, out to cut your throat. So none of that's going on here. Everybody is really great, helpful. They'll tell you where to go to fish. They'll help you. They'll even take you with them if you ask them. A lot of guys are super friendly and competitive and helpful at the same time. And that kind of represents what our Sportsman of the Year is. And this year it was Mr. Jonathan Dominguez that was voted in by the MoYak squad, who elect us every year. And that person, you know, does get the trophy, and as well gets that half discounted ticket to the All-American Classic to represent MoYak as well too. So congratulations, Jonathan. You deserved it, buddy.
Yeah, it's honestly like an honor. I was shocked when I saw it. It wasn't didn't have any idea what was going on and all that. And I mean, I didn't even nominate. Sarah nominated me on, so thanks Sarah for putting me on there. But I absolutely appreciate that, guys. You guys have helped me out just as much as I've helped anybody else out. But I mean, the biggest thing, my goal is to just grow the club, grow the community. That's the goal. At the end of the day, we all want to be, best buds, and really appreciate you guys all voting for me. So it's really cool.
Jonathan, do you remember? Do you think that, like, so I know you were going to quite a few national events, and I know with me, I know when I was at 10 Killer and you wasn't fishing it, and it was probably 6:30 on day 2, and I had called you on Messenger on the phone, and you answered, and I couldn't get my motor running, and after figuring out, you're like, dude, you just probably need to flip the magnetic. So I had it on backwards. And then I remember at the 250, I left my remote. Well, the funny thing is I never left my remote. It was actually in my door panel in my car. So I went to you. I actually ordered a new one offline. But my question is, how many do you get calls a lot just on your personal cell phone, like before events, where people are having like mechanical issues that you kind of walk through them with that?
So occasionally, like it does definitely, like being with Eco, I do get some more of those. But yeah, like 10 Killer was crazy. I know, like, you called me, Marty Hughes, he cracked his kayak. We actually plastic welded there at the campground and got it, back to where it was good to go. And then Eric Easter too, he had a cable bust on his MK106 for his steering. So it was like a mobile repair shop, mobile kayak repair shop that I was running the truck. And fortunately, like I'm like, I overpack on this stuff and take way too much stuff. So it's nice being there and helping those guys out. I stayed in the house with Drew Gregory, Mason, Jake, Ryan, there at that event. And it was really cool talking to those guys and being able to, help those guys where I could and how I could. But yeah, I mean, definitely. But don't get me wrong, like there's some days I'm like, gosh, again, but honestly, like I said, it's about building the community, being a resource. Sometimes it sucks being in that position, and I totally get it and need help, and I would do the same thing, but it's also, rewarding to be able to help those guys out. But again, like, honored to be part of that and be able to be trusted on that side too. So it's really cool for me as well. Well, let's move on to something else. I've got some mailbag call stuff, Josh, and we kind of talked about it. But Tourney X, how to use it, how to register an event. Josh, you want to kind of walk us through kind of like the basic stuff on that?
Yeah, we did a really good walkthrough before. Jonathan showed you guys how to go on the website and to find the events and then to sign up for them. And that's where you'll find the information and the rules and all that stuff. I will talk about, go over some of the basics really quick for like photograph submission and how to operate on Tourney X. The Yak Attack leaderboard and the catch measure are the only two measuring boards that you can use during competition. So if this is your first year, make sure you've got one of those boards. They're the only two allowed you can use. It doesn't matter what color or what kind, as long as they come from that company. They've all been measured to be the same. We've also got an identifier code that is released before each tournament, and you can write that 3-digit code on anything. Like you see there in that picture, big BIG. You can write that on your hand, or you can write it on a card. There's some cards that you can print off on a file on our website for identifier cards if you want to make your own. Also, Blue Fox Tins, they have a MoYak card. I think Steve Billington's got one now too, that you can. There's a lot of options out there for identifier cards, but just make sure that identifier code is visible in the picture. You can set it anywhere you want as long as it's not on the fish, but just make sure that that's visible. So taking photos of the fish can be one of the most challenging things that you're going to do in a tournament. Catching the fish sometimes is the easy part. They don't always want to cooperate and lay on that board where you can get a good picture. So make sure I wet the board, make sure it's not hot from being in the sun, because that'll make a fish flop off real quick. And then take multiple pictures on your phone. Just go into your camera and start taking a bunch of pictures. And see, that's a horrible, okay, that's better. It looked blurry at first and then it came in, but you want to make sure the picture's not blurry and that everything, you can see it's visible. So take 4 or 5 pictures maybe, and then look into your guide. Go, because if there's like a get disqualified. So make sure you've got a good picture before you let that fish go. Throw him back on some fish grips, put him back in the water, and then check your phone and make sure you've got a good picture. And if you don't have a good picture, then you can just pull him back out of the water, throw him back on the board, and try again. So always make sure you get multiple pictures. And when you're taking a bunch of pictures, it can be easy to get them mixed up. So what I do is, if I caught a fish and I'm going to take 4 or 5 pictures of that fish, and then I've got a good one, I'm going to just flip my phone up at the sky, and I'm just going to take a picture of the sky, and then I'm going to go back to fishing. And then when I catch another fish, I'm going to start taking pictures of that. Then later on, when I'm going through my gallery, each fish is separated by a picture of the sky, so you don't get your fish mixed up. Because if you're taking a bunch of pictures of fish and they're close to the same size, you may not submit the right ones, or you could miss one or something. So it's always best to keep a little divider so that you can keep track of your fish. That's just a little tip that I use. That you can do anything, but you don't want to get those pictures mixed up. And if you are submitting fish and signal is poor, sometimes you can get a double submission. A picture will go through twice or something. You're not going to be in any trouble for that. The judge will catch it and remove one, and you'll get the score for the one. So don't worry about getting in trouble for submitting a fish wrong, if the signal's poor, because that happens on some of the lakes that we're on. And so if you don't have any signal at all, it's best just to get off the water after the tournament, go find some Wi-Fi somewhere, and then submit all your pictures at once, which again, having that sky divider in between each fish will help you do that if you're submitting all of them at one time instead of during the tournament. No hands touching the tail. Some of the other series allow your hand to be touching that caudal fin there at the end of the tail. Not here. I want to be able to see the markings on that tail. You are allowed to put your hand on the fish like that there. The more of the fish that the judge can see, the better off it is for you, so that they can see those identifying marks if you have fish that are the same size. So you can only submit 1 fish per tournament. You can hold the fish down, but make sure that it's visible and your hand's not on the fin. Your hand can't be underneath the gill plate, and your hand can't be covering the eye. These are all things that are in the rules. Please make sure that you understand all these rules if you're competing for the first time. Mouth has to be closed. If the mouth is open by more than just a 1/4 inch gap, that's a 1 inch penalty on that fish. So make sure your mouth is closed and everything's visible, and just take some good pictures. Practice on something, if you haven't done this before, and then go to TourneyX and upload them. The onlines are a good way to practice this, but photographing fish is really important. So hopefully those are some tips that can help people photograph your fish, get it uploaded to TourneyX. If you don't have cell service, there is a live well feature on TourneyX. I recommend don't use that. It gets really confusing sometimes. Just take your photos, leave them in your gallery, go find signal, and then upload them directly to the TourneyX app. That way seems to be the most efficient way to do it. So that's all I can really think of with TourneyX, unless you guys got something else that I missed maybe.
Honestly, there's a lot that go into TourneyX. Like, get on, definitely what I would do is I would start on the desktop version, look through it. The other cool thing too is, whenever you go to MoYak Fishing Series, you can go down here to how it works. You click on that. It's going to take you to rules. It's going to take you to some links that are related to TourneyX, different stuff that you need to think about, how it works. But all this is accessible for you guys as well. You have questions, like honestly, like you can, go out, practice, take pictures of fish. I'm sure Josh, if you sent it to Josh, he wouldn't mind just saying, hey, that, you need to do this better. You need to change this before, a tournament. It's one thing to do it on a regular, and then another thing to do it in a live event and it count for something. But there's plenty of information there on our website as far as like Tourney X and all that good stuff. Basic rules. Go ahead.
What would happen if I caught, I had this conversation a few months ago, and I don't know what Tourney X says about possessing two fish at the same time, but let's say I catch two fish on a jerk bait, or I catch two fish on a crankbait. How do I what do I do in that instance? So now I've got two fish, I'm bringing them in my kayak. What do I need to do?
What I would do if I was in that situation as an angler would be just to put one on some fish grips and then throw the other one on the board. If they're legally caught, if they're caught legally, then you can still count them and throw them on like an A-rig fish. You catch them out multiple ones at once too. It gets a little, I don't know, it gets a little gray when you're talking about possessing fish that may be under 15 inches. But usually we're just a catch and release kind of thing. So that would be the best way to handle that. If you caught multiple fish, would be just to throw one on the board, take its picture, and then throw another one on there and take its picture, and then go back to fishing. You can't start fishing again until you release both the fish, but that would be my recommendation.
When you say catch them legally, what does that mean?
Legally in Missouri, you cannot be in possession of a fish unless it's 15 inches or longer. So
you mean
then
really
like you're going to keep it.
That's like you're going to keep it, like you're throwing it in the live well. Even though we don't have a live well, there can be an argument made that putting a fish on a fish grip could be classified as being in possession. I'm not an expert on that law. I know it's kind of a gray area that I don't think we really have to worry about as far as MDC goes, because we're releasing the fish immediately. We're not throwing them in a live well. We're not keeping them. So I don't think that would count as possession, but I'm sure there's somebody out there that could make the argument that it is a possession, which could be a problem if the fish is under 15 inches. So, but, and all the time I've been doing this for 9 years, if I catch a 9-inch fish, I may throw him on some fish grips, but I don't think I'm in violation of keeping an illegal sized fish because I'm getting ready to release it. So that's a good topic. That's a good discussion. There's a debate for both sides on that, honestly, but it's not.
So say if I catch one and one of the treble hooks is in the mouth, and I got two on this crankbait, and one of them is kind of just slapped on the outside. Is the one that's on the outside of the mouth, is that still legal to put on the board, or is that not?
Well, you're just getting in the nitty gritty, aren't you?
I'm submitting both.
Well, that depends on how you. Yeah. I would say, do that. The definition of being foul hooked and snagging and a fish being on a treble hook and coming out and still being hooked, that's a whole. That's a big mess. So what I would suggest is I'm just going to rely on angler's integrity. If you caught that fish and maybe it did get a little side hook in the a treble hook on the side, throw it on the board. You caught it. You caught that fish. Now you can't be ripping crankbaits over spawning beds and then throwing them on a board. You can't be snagging or nothing like that. So there is a lot of this sport that does require honesty and integrity and just trust. And another thing about this sport is, since it does weigh on that a lot, you violate that integrity or trust one time and you're done. No one's going to want you around. You're not going to be trusted. You're pretty much done in the entire sport. So don't even push it. A couple of while we're on the rules discussions, there is a couple other new ones I want to go over real quick before I forget, and then we can move on. Is the new lighting rules that we've got for this year. I am requiring that all competitors that launch before sunrise have a 360-degree pole light mounted on the stern. It can be removable, and or it can be a hard mount. It doesn't matter, but you do have to have that pole light on the back. There's a lot of options out there on the market. Max It Out LEDs is one of our sponsors. They've got a complete kit where you can hardwire it right into your kayak, and it actually folds down. So when you're, if you don't want to hit it with your rod during the day, it just lays down, but it's always attached. So you don't have to worry about leaving it behind or forgetting it, which I've done in the past. I'll always have to remember that light. So 360-degree pole light is required for everybody. Doesn't matter if you're motorized, paddle, or pedal. Everybody's got to have one. If you can't get one on your kayak or you don't have one, you can still compete, but you've got to wait until sunrise, safe shooting light, before you launch. So that's how you do it. And if you are motorized, you got to have that red-green bow light up on front. And, it's got to be Coast Guard approved. I know it looks cool having a bunch of LED strips running all the way down the length of your kayak, but it's not really safe. It'll blind you. It'll bring in a ton of bugs, and it doesn't really show boats what you are. That red-green light shows what direction you're going to oncoming traffic. And so it's real important that that's set up correctly. And if you've got a giant green strip that runs all the way down the side of your kayak on one side and a red strip that runs all the way down the side, you could look like a big boat to an oncoming boat in the dark, and they may not even realize that you're a tiny boat, or the distance could be skewed. It can be dangerous. So make sure you've got the right lights on your kayak. We're going to really start cracking down on that this year, because I want everybody to be safe out there, because we do launch in the dark. We are on lakes with a lot of boat traffic, and so or a lot of boat tournaments. So I try to always have our launch times 30 minutes before the boat guys take off. That way everybody has a chance to get to their spot before the boats do their giant launch racing across the lake and stuff. So another reason why to have the proper lights on your kayak, so you don't get run over on a lot of these big lakes, because we are on some big water. And so just make sure you've got your lights. If you have any questions or concerns about whether your light is going to be okay, just shoot me a message and we'll figure it out. And then the last thing I got, and I'll let you guys take off with it, is the Angler of the Points race. The Angler of the Points are going to be, we're going to use the same formula that we did in 2024, which was brand new. And I'm pretty sure we're the only series in the nation that does something like this, where it actually balances your score based off of how many people are in the tournament, how many inches you catch, and those factors in there. So the only change we're going to make that I want to say is, if you skunk and you get a 0 and you do not submit any fish in a tournament this year, you're going to get 0 points. So in the past, if you finished in last or got 0, everybody tied and got last place points. And it's kind of become a little bit of an issue, because some anglers were just purchasing entry fee and not even showing up and getting last place Angler of the Year points. It's not really fair to people that were there competing and working hard. So if you get a 0, if you don't catch any fish in a tournament, you get 0 points. Other than that, everything will be the same as it was last year. That's it.
Don't skunk, Trey.
Don't skunk. That could hurt. A 0 would hurt. But you do get, everybody gets 2 drops on the Elite Series. You can drop 2 of your lowest scores. So if you do have a bad day, you're allowed 2 drops. So you got a little bit of room there to wiggle around. If you have a bad day, or maybe you can't just make a tournament at all, you got a couple you can drop. So keep that in mind too.
2025 is going to be a great year. No skunks in 2025. That's the goal for everyone this year. But a lot of good stuff coming down. I know Josh and Trey and I have been talking about, kind of planning, talking about who we want to bring on here, what we want to talk about, showcasing the events before the event. So stay tuned, guys. Honestly, like, if you guys are on our YouTube page, like it, subscribe. That's great. If you got questions, get onto our Facebook group. There's no dumb questions. There may be some smart answers, but there's no dumb questions. But we definitely get you, pointed the right direction. Always reach out to, any of us on there. It's a great community we've got. Josh, kudos to you for building it and sticking it with it for 10 years. And hopefully you'll be with us for another 10 years running this as well. if you haven't just said, hey, I'm done with this and wash your hands of it. But a lot of good stuff coming down the pipeline. We haven't even talked about like sponsor details, event details, venues, all this other stuff. Really appreciate how hard you've been working, Josh, to get this set up every year, man.
Thanks. I mean, it takes a lot of organization, that's for sure. But you guys make it easy. The anglers are so easy to work with, and there's no drama. So that always makes everything so much better when they don't have to worry about stuff like that. So thanks to everybody else out there too. I did see a question over here from. Oh, go ahead.
No, there's a question. Yeah, I was going to say for anybody out there that's thinking about membership, man, when I'm in conversations with different clubs across the nation, the one name that always comes up is Josh Booth. Josh Booth and MoYak always comes up at the top of them conversations. So for me, being my second year, it's a club that I'm proud to be in. And anybody out there just thinking about, making that call to join a club, I mean, this is the club. It's a club that's going to make you better. It's a club of camaraderie. And I mean, if you're thinking about it, if you're on the fence and maybe it's a little bit intimidating, coming from a guy that really don't know how to fish and I'm just getting better, I can tell you that it's going to do nothing but help you. And you're going to be part of what is, some say, the best club in the nation. So
I won't argue with that.
Good stuff, guys. Plenty more to come throughout the year. Like I said, we'll be getting after it as far as the podcast and all that. But make sure and subscribe, like it, that way you're not missing out on any stuff. Ask questions, Facebook, get on the website. Look for answers there. Check out Tourney X. Plenty of stuff. But like we said, feel free to ask questions. Feel free to like I said, get after it, and hopefully you have a great year for 2025. So, Josh, Trey, thanks for being on here. Trey, any last words, man?
No. I think we got the question asked. Larson Jacob asked about boater safety course. It looks like Trevor shot him in the right direction for that. Nothing, man. I look forward to this year.
Josh, anything from you, man?
I'm looking forward to this year too, and let everybody know we got a lot more to come on the podcast. So stay tuned.
Guys, thanks for being on here. Thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you guys on the next one.